Hello and welcome. This is Corey Angelat. Welcome to the End of Slavery Summit. I'm here with a guest, Stephen Mager. He has a website, stephenmager.com. That's STEVENMAGER.com. And he's got a lot of material in the Hebrew language. And so I'm really glad to speak to somebody who's across the world from me and sharing this great knowledge to a whole nother audience. Can you introduce a little bit about yourself?
Of course. First of all, good to see you. I am very excited to be here, and thank you to be a guest in your show. And I want to introduce myself. I'm a content creator. I'm a public speaker. I'm educate people. What is morality is, what is right is. My awakening process was a long time ago, but I really understand what I need to do in the past years that arrive a lot of crisis, economic crisis with this scamdemic, with all this what we cross in the 2 years, last 2 years. And I start to be involved in creating content. And I understand this is what we really need to do. This is what really important, to educate, to not arrive to bloodsheds with wars and more violence and more slavery. And we need to inform people what the situation is, and what is the solutions, and what is causal factors, and be more philosophers with the people around, that they not understand a simple logic reason that we need to put more in public. And also I understand that all my life I was indoctrinated by the system, and I understand you can heal yourself. Everyone can heal himself, and everything starts within us. So within, so without. So
I
this
agree.
is
I agree.
I understand. I explain people about occult knowledge, about psychology, deep psychology, how the manipulation works, how the symbology, the language of symbols, how this intertone subconscious mind, and how it operates, how the reality operates. People in the modern world don't understand these things, these basic principles and word definitions. So we need to do our best to not arrive more slavery in the world.
Yeah.
So I think is enough today. We see that this is already, the truth is already unveiled. You can see everything. So
Yeah, I agree. It's like, yeah, we may speak different languages, but ultimately we're speaking the same language of truth, of universal truth. You know, it's like,
yes,
oh, we're
exactly.
in different governments, different countries. No, does that really matter? You know, we're looking at the natural reality, something that is all present here with us. And that's powerful.
Yes, it's like objective reality we have. We have different perceptions, we have different worldviews, but we have things in reality that occurs, that we live in the shared reality. So the first thing we need to do is to respect all the rights, understand our rights. And I have a lot of conversation with people around me with these things, and they feel uncomfortable with this. Some people even not understand what I speak about. They really not understand, and they not feel comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, it's
This
the same for me, my area.
very
Even though I'm
sad.
across the world.
Yeah.
And that just tells you, like, wow, how far off is human beings as a whole, right? You said you're from Israel, right? Is that
Yeah.
correct? Yeah, so it's quite interesting, you know. I hear a lot about in the independent media, a lot of people blame certain governments in certain countries, and Israel is one of them. But like, are we to blame the governments? Are we to blame necessarily the controllers, or are we supposed to blame ourselves? Right? I don't see enough people doing that.
Yes, yes, exactly. No one put the finger on himself and recognize is fooled, and they need to recognize that. So
Mm,
first of all, it could recognize the lying, the lie. So about Israel, I tell you now, as I see here, this country is built it on bloodsheds and wars and violation of rights of people who lived here before. Whatever the people subscribe to false Judaism of inverted Zionism. This is everything built of here you see as a military country. Everyone here in they not accept you the same thing if you're not order follower. They have certain jobs here in Israel that they look at you if you was as a order follower in the army or no. And if work, they not have some places of work they not accept you because of that.
mm,
So imagine yourself how much is higher level of slavery here, that they take you by force to army. The 18 years old, the child, they take him.
wow.
If you not go, they take you by force. They
Yeah.
jail you. Um, I was in the system. I saw that. I saw that. I just not see this in the same level like I see this today because it was so long time ago. But now I think myself is just insane how it can be. How
Yeah.
it can be like this, and
And
people don't understand.
yeah, but it's also like that with every other country too. I mean, most countries were like sort of formed by bloodshed if you think about it, which is unfortunate, you know, but how else
Yeah.
will government control a population, right? Is it through war and capturing people and claiming, "Hey, well now you're under our jurisdiction because we said so, because might makes right?" But does might actually make right?
Yes. This is they divide people. They creating division inside the people and outside the people. They just
Hmm.
divide in groups and just created wars between the people itself and hatred between each other. And here I see this a lot. This is the same was before. What do for what happened in the Holocaust? The Nazis do is the same here. Same people, but in different uniforms.
Hmm.
This what you see in
Yeah.
any countries like this. I know, but especially here, they're so connected to this history of their legacy of the Judaism that they think they are the opposite, but they are do the same ideology
Hmm.
but in different variants. But it's the same thing.
Well, I appreciate your
And
courage, right? I mean, because we're talking about how slavery can be seen as like sort of a legitimate way of life. Everybody kind of just goes along with it, like you said, order followers, right? They go along with what they're told, the cultures, the religions, whatever. And if they disobey, something happens to them. I mean, that is coercion against their will. You know, like if somebody does not want to participate in that, do they have the choice to not participate in it? Or are they going to be coerced into participating?
they all the time have choose not to participate, but they choose yes to participate. You
Hmm.
know, even they say that you must participate, but you participate from your will. You can resist. You can say no, and
Yeah.
they put a lot of mechanisms like religions and indoctrination centers. You know, all this. Um, Scientism and all these things, they put the society in more ignorance and fear, and when the people in ignorance and fear, this is creating this all the time together. If you not know and you in ignorance, so you became in fear, okay,
Mm.
and your worldview is toxicated, and this shapes the worldview of the people. They put the false information, all this organization, media, mainstream medias, all these things
Yeah.
that 24/7 they bombarded the people, and I see how they even not recognize themselves, their behaviors, but I see that from the side, and I see this unconscious behaviors they have, how they react to situations, and how they take the rights of each other, even they even not recognize that. Even
Mm.
simple jobs with the mandates of masks, of all these things, and you see the most people they cooperate. Even now they remove the mandates of the mask, and they put it some message that you need to put mask. This is a recommendation, and they start to put is like is a reaction. It's like a Pavlovian reaction of people, and it's very sad to see. Is
Yeah, you had to like get permission to be free or permission to do whatever, right? You're not actually free because you have to make sure you always run it by, the head chief, the the magistrate, the person in charge, essentially the slave master, right? Because again, if you don't obey, you're going to be coerced against your will. So it's kind of interesting because what you're mentioning is what I call mental slavery, which is this belief that people want to enslave themselves or their fellow human beings, and they don't realize that they are. So many speakers of the past and writers claim that this is like the most dangerous form of slavery, mental slavery, and it leads to physical slavery. People don't realize it because, the slave grows comfortable with their condition. And maybe that's part of the reason why they think it's a legitimate way of life, right? What makes it
everything
so
is start from
normalized?
mental. Everything is mental in the end.
Mm.
You create by yourself. The human create the slavery by himself. They just they put them in a small cage, and they say, okay, they will release you now in a bigger cage, but you're still in the cage. Okay, but people still accept 20% of slavery instead of 80%, but they still have slavery.
Right.
And definition of slavery is ownership. You claiming ownership of someone else's property of body, and if it's you cannot even put a certain substance in your body, in your own body, it means you have a claim on your body. And I put it in, and I say that to people, and they start to think in themselves. Well, I never think about that before.
Yeah.
Really, it's unbelievable that
Yeah.
they that is like manipulation that is covered by some manipulations that people not recognize themselves themselves.
Right. It's not so much
Uh,
overt where people like being chained up. It's covert because people actually think,
imagine
slavery is not
yes,
slavery.
invisible chains, as
Yes.
mental chains can call it. Yeah,
Yeah. And to some extent, like some people will
yeah,
always be held back by different fears and superstitions, but this one is taking a hold over everybody, a lot of people, right? And it's dragging us into that net. Like other people want us to be controlled, and we don't want to be controlled. But we have no choice to comply and be a slave with the willing slaves. And we're like, wait, well, if I don't want to be willing, will you allow me to be free? Will you let me run away from the plantation? Is there
yeah,
is there no plantation I could run to?
yeah.
Because a lot of people might just say, well, if you don't like it here, why don't you just leave? It's like,
Yes, yeah.
is
This is
there
what people tell.
anywhere?
Yes, this is
is this
exactly what people tell me. Yes.
is there
Why you not
anywhere
go to the
free?
jungle? Why you not go to this forest? They separate. They say they are a good person if they say you need to separate you from the society. This is what they
Mm,
say,
yeah, instead of
and they
fixing
say
it.
it in the front of the in front of my face. And I meet a lot of people who say me that. Yeah,
Yeah, and instead of
it's
fixing the problem themselves, right?
yes. Why you not go? Why you not go? You are the problem. Yeah, you not accept with our worldview, so we need to push you back from us.
Mm, yeah,
Something like that.
yeah. It's like if you're not part of the club.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. Yeah.
So you had past experience, like you said, through your life experience, and you were in the Israeli military, right? And you
Yeah.
so you had to be an order follower. You essentially had to follow the orders of somebody who told you what to do and who to kill. And did you even know anybody that you were fighting? Like, did you know, were you convinced into fighting people that you don't even know?
I tell you, I was not fighting in the army, but I was in the air force. Whatever it was, this is like you take a major cult, and inside this cult have smaller cults, smaller pockets, and they smaller cults like navies, like air force, and they have little bit different uniforms, but they are different cults that belongs to one. And this is this when you just enter to this organization, they put you inside a warehousing. They put your name in the warehousing, they put your registration there. This means you're a property. You're inside. Where is the boots, where is the clothes, and you as a property there, they take you. And people proud to be in this place, you know. And this so natural for them, natural quotes, you know, that they send their kids like this, and they send them to sacrifice them in the wars. And many every year you see people, you see a lot of soldiers dying, and also Palestinians, kids, innocent, dying also. And unfortunately, I have a lot of friends of mine, even in my family, still cooperate with this organization. And unfortunately, I also need to lose some relationship because of that, because I cannot handle that people do these things. It's like you see a German Nazi kill small child and do nothing. You just accept that, you know.
Yeah.
And this I tell you, in this when you're in the army there, you whatever it is, you just no have self conscience. You have rules you need to play on, and that's it. If you play not in the game, they punish you. This is work on coercion and violence. That's it. There's no have something else there. In the relationship of this hierarchy they have. What more I can tell you about that? This is acceptable in the society here. Very, very acceptable. This is most of the people here, I say maybe 95% was older followers in some level, in the police or in the military.
Mm-hmm.
So I said to myself here, the situation is very, very bad, and have a lot of work to do, you know.
Yeah, educating
A lot,
people.
yeah, a lot of work to do, because you need to work with this so dark, indoctrinated minds that's so broken that you need to just assemble them from the beginning. This is what you see here.
Yeah,
At least
it seems like what.
this is what I experienced from my experience, you know.
And I think a lot of other people can maybe relate to that. I mean, a lot of veterans or people who fought in wars that I've talked to, I mean, they experience all sorts of things, and then even when they get out of it, they feel like why are they alive? Like why did they do what they did? They start getting depressed and all sorts of things,
Yes. By
and
the
it
way,
beats down on them.
yeah, I have also something I want to say. Have people who fought the wars, they back health people. Really, they have bad condition of health, post trauma. They not give them even cannabis.
Hmm.
Okay, they not allow them freely cannabis, and they not give a shit about them. After they use them, they just put them as a piece of trash because they don't have usage to them. You know. And people still continue to give their kids to this army, continue to sacrifice for that, you know? And
Yeah.
this is very sad, very, very sad.
Yeah, and
And
essentially, like you're saying that people just should have empathy, right? Just care for their fellow human being. What you're asking for is not doesn't sound like a really a bad thing. And I think most people would be like, yeah, it makes sense. But yet when they're order following, they shut down their conscience. They don't really think about if it's actually right or wrong to do. They're doing it because they're told to do it.
Exactly. Yeah. They just listen to the orders. This what I was in this army, and I tell you, this is my experience. You know, have conscience. You just follow the orders, what they tell you to do. That's it. Whatever is moral or immoral, they will tell you, put a bullet in some 8 years old child. They will put it. Also, the who fight in the sky, who fight in the airplanes, the pilots. Also, they kill a lot of kids, innocents. And have F pilots, they arrive to some conscience to not do it, but F pilots, they not give a shit and they do everything what they ask to do. This.
And how does
And
the military get their funding to begin with, right? From the people who they tax. And what is taxation backed by?
yeah,
Violence.
taxation. Yeah.
So people still think slavery is legitimate, is what we're claiming, right? We're saying that slavery hasn't ended, that chattel slavery of the 1800s is just taken on a different form that is more covert, that people don't realize that it exists, and it exists, like we said, through the military, through order followers willingly complying, just as a slave on the plantation would say, yeah, I'm meant to be a slave. Like, oh, yeah, I can't see any reality other than my own slavery. I can't imagine going to any other plantation or, this slave master's better.
This is uncovered slavery. This is what you see in your eyes. This is like you see the sun in the middle of the day, the plantation, okay? But now it's not, it is covered, but it still is the same thing. It is just after, I understand the postmodern is very strong effect on the people about the worldview about morality and all this. This change the people minds about all this stuff. They not believe have truth. They not believe have. They not understand. They not even not hear themselves speaking about that, and how much is ridiculous is here how they speaking. This is because people is disconnected from the true core, the essence of themselves, and the essence of what they see. And really, the simple thing they not understand, the simple, really simple thing. And this what I think the effect of this, especially the modern time. Okay, I believe before people have some idea about this, words and definitions and some level of education. But in the modern time, I see this go backwards. It's like technology needs to advance to us, but is go backward. I don't. It's need to go forward. We need to use this technology as a gift. We can do many. We can investigate. We can read, download books. Before was not like this. We need to appreciate that this is a gift we can use.
Yeah.
So people use it for bad purpose, for weapon, against ourselves, against themselves.
Yeah.
So
technology is a tool. It could be used for good or for bad, depending on.
I was an
user.
enemy of technology before, but now understand how is good. How is, if you know how to use it for good purpose, for true love and freedom. This is a powerful tool, very, very powerful. This just showed the potential of a human being that he can create.
So what's the point of educating people, right? Is it to when in relation to slavery, like how does it help to teach the slave and say, well, you are enslaved? Why does that help them? And like, what if they still don't realize that they are? I mean, what is it going to take for people to recognize that it is?
The only thing I can recognize is just to say that in many variants, and more people need to be involved. That unfortunately not have too much people, but I see this grow. Not in my country when I am, but still I see in you know. You can see the media, you can see the mainstream media how they do it. They do it the perfect way. You just can't do it in a similar way, but for truth, for
Right.
law, for freedom. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can use this knowledge. You can use this knowledge you have for that.
Yeah.
You have knowledge about deeper psychology, how to influence people. Also, is kind of magic, the magic of the words. What we speak is what we create.
Yeah.
And many ideas and many things we can create. We just don't know how much.
And you have a English section actually on your website, which is helpful for anybody who wants to look at your content in English. You mentioned magic. I don't know if that's something you go over, like some of occult teachings. It seems to be a theme among the speakers I talk to, looking into the occult and understanding how people's minds work, so we can understand how they might be manipulated or, turned into certain ways of thinking. So I'm not sure if you have any particular recommendations among those lines or what you like to talk about when it comes to that.
About magic and about the occult.
Yes.
Yeah, you can, again, magic also you can use for bad or for good. This is, if dark sorcery and have magic, have is magical, is imagination. What we imagine is image. Everything from the same source of word. The magician example in the tarot is someone who brings the wisdom of the cosmos he manifests that in the material world. He brings the wisdom of the cosmos in the material world. This is influence of minds, of hearts of people to make a change, a good change. I speak about magic, not sorcery, black magic. I speak about magic that you can practice with yourself and with invocations. And this is spiritual, psychological practices that you can practice with yourself daily basis. No need to dedicate for that all the day. Just need like a meditation. I see it as a meditation also, because I use meditation tools also, because I have a lot of things to have, a lot of techniques of shadow work that you can do. I believe you need to make this shadow work at least one time a day, to make this discipline. But after to go to the battlefield to do the work in the physical world,
Could you explain what shadow work
and
is for people who don't know what that means?
shadow work is work about your shadow places inside you, inside your deep unconscious mind, about your traumas, fears, what you stop you to progress, that you need to improve inside you. You need to burn off this ego you have and not serve you. That you need to remove from you, burn it from you, and just rebuild. This is a kind of alchemical process that takes place, that you are born in a new form. Okay. I think is a simple way to explain, please.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. You have a circle behind you on the wall. Do you want to describe a little bit about what that means for people? Like
This is a circle of the runes, the helm of Eve. This is the 9 worlds of the rune of the tree of life of Yggdrasil, tree of life of the ancient Nordic tradition. This is the building blocks of the universe and the progress of the soul to develop in the physical world, in the psychological and emotional, and the spiritual world. And this just show us this is going circle. This is not ending. This is a process that continue and continue, that you need to be born and to progress, that no have ending point, that you in the middle, that this is representing the Midgard. This is the world of the human and the animals, that we, this is the best school have, that we here to learn, to grow, to study, to exercise our rights, our free will. And these 9 worlds around us, this is the 9 channels of energy that cross through us, through the middle. This is what, if you're not familiar with this tradition, this is very, very powerful tool also to work in the shadow work, also in the runes. You can invoke them, you can meditate on them. This is very powerful psychological tools that you can work and study. I highly recommend for people who want to use this tool for himself, for improve himself, to work on the shadow work. I encourage people.
Yeah. So even if
I
they
also
don't,
speak about this in my channel a lot, about this tradition, about this
great.
sciences.
Yeah, like even if people disagree and say, "Oh, well, I don't know if slavery still exists," the least they can do is look within themselves, right? And ask themselves, like, am I in fear? Are there things I can't do? Are there traumas I'm holding within myself? Because you can enslave yourself. You can, be
Yeah.
enslaved and not realize that you are, because you haven't taken a step back from society. And a lot of people don't know about these Nordic
They
traditions.
shy. They feel ashamed with themselves to recognize they are. Example: I go to person of 17 years old. 70. He can be my grandfather, but I see his mind stay in the 8 years old. He feel very shameful to feel what else can be his right and me all the life was wrong. You also need to understand that how much is strong broken trauma they have inside, a broken soul they have. And sometimes you need to feel mercy for these people. Really, you need to feel mercy because they are really, really in bad condition. So they inside them, they feel they cannot. All the power go when you really honest with yourself. You start to go with your fears, not to fight against them, and go and make action. Even the fears exist, or even the traumas exist. You know it exists, and you work through. This is the real power. This is the real power, and not run away from that and just live in the dream that everything is okay, and just hide it with some things for yourself that you try to fulfill from external material world.
Right. Yeah. So, people want to distract themselves, get away from the world's problems, or
Yes, yes.
just follow, or because it's easy, it's simple, it's, it's not dangerous freedom. They're not trying to do something courageous or toward a destiny, a greater purpose. But like, we ended slavery in the 1800s, one form of slavery, for a reason, right? Because it was part of the destiny. It was something humanity had to do moving forward. But now, if we want to continue moving forward, we have to still evaluate what we're doing and realize what else is it, what we're doing is wrong. Like, we're not going to get rid of everything that's wrong on like one day and just like, oh, everything's gone. No, it takes time. It takes time to learn of our place and who we are, what we're doing. But we have to evaluate
Yes.
our choices. And do we have that choice? Are they making it harder for us to have those choices?
Any choice any time you have a choice, any second you have a choice how to feel, how to think, and how to act. And this is your fate in the future. And like this is, you create the past, the present, and the future simultaneously. You create the past and the future, and the future is reflected by your choose, what you choose before, and any second of our lives, this is this kind of or give us feedback.
Yeah. Are there other ways that you want to mention how people still think slavery is legitimate that we haven't covered that you want to like touch on? Is there anything in particular that you want to mention about it? Because we did hit on what is necessary ultimately is individuals understanding who they are and recognizing their own power, as you said, right? Which is sovereignty, understanding that they own themselves and thus they can free themselves once they understand that. So that's why we educate people. I just didn't know if
Yes.
there was anything else you wanted to mention along those lines.
Factor of that is the modern society make it so normal and so distracted with this a lot of things a lot of destruction around us, a lot of from all the sides, just even the truth is present, they just don't want to see that, they just prefer to see the distractions. And for that they create all this entertainment movies and all this stuff just to entertain people and not to dealing with truth, with really important stuff like rights, you know, and principles and things that we need to see first and foremost, and really important things.
Yeah, they're things that make
and
us human, the things
and
that
I see
make
the
us who we are.
society simply lost the intelligence in terms of logic and reason, and especially in that time we live in now, you know.
Hmm.
Again, I don't know how it was before, but I see is I don't know if people was so resistant to slavery before. I believe more resisted than now. But it still was legitimate in some areas of history. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and
I have
it
so
took place different forms and different
yeah.
distractions. Now we have technology, right? So it's easier to get distracted.
Yes, yes. It's very easy to make distracted. This is all the point, and people now use these tools for better reason, for better purpose.
Yeah.
Um, and again, all this suffering and human history full of tyranny and result of ignorance and inactivity that stop the evil from growing, and
Hmm. They're not
the traumas
preventative.
that remind very deep in the unconscious the terrible things what's going through our species, and from there only to grow. From this point we can just grow and expand, and people need to understand that they don't need to feel ashamed. They need to feel, from here I just can grow and grow and grow. And we need to live under the laws of nature and to understand they exist, and with harmony with morality, justice, truth, love, and freedom, as well as helping others find their way to light and heal the wounds we have accumulated with our heritage, with this strong history we have. You
Hmm.
know, we have
Yes.
also ancestral traumas from that. Slavery take place in the past,
Hmm.
long term. You know,
Yeah.
um, so again, this what we need to do is the same thing, but we need just to make more efforts.
Right. And that's why I appreciate, you bringing this information to a different audience, an audience that I can't reach, because I don't speak the same language as you. And I think that's fantastic. And I would love to see if more people would do the same thing and have the courage to speak up in their countries. And who knows, maybe even bring this knowledge to China one day, the people
Yes,
who are
yes.
secluded.
I think about that. Maybe someone from China will make the content for that. Who
It would be
knows?
amazing to see, but
Yeah,
it
just need to
takes
have a
courage.
lot of courage, but maybe someone will do it.
Yeah, and once
You
they
know?
bring it out there to the internet, it's there forever, right? Everybody sees it,
Yeah.
and it's destiny. I mean, this is destiny that humanity's trying to achieve. So, let's go a little deeper. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I just say it's like to sing the song of truth, but it's different language and different, you
Yeah,
know, is
right.
with a lot of kind of variants. That
Mhm.
is good.
Music is like a universal language, you know?
Yeah.
So, I was going to ask, let's go a little along the lines of action. Is there any particular actions that you don't see people doing, or even independent media? All the people online producing content. Is there
Yeah.
certain actions that they're not doing that you would like to be
Yes,
seen?
yes. I tell you what I see. Have here a community of truth. Yes, I have, but still they not understand the things. Still, all the picture. They have gaps of information. They don't have the knowledge of the occult sciences, and they arrive to conclusions not correctly, and they think more about victimized mind, the mind of the victim, that we will lose, that have some religious groups that believe some they have some moral yeah, and they understand some morality, but they still trapped in the religious world. Have a lot of kinds of groups, and they not they confused in the different directions, and again they not understand the full picture. And when you not understand the full picture, it can be also dangerous, because it's also separating from others, is creating divisions, even in the groups of freedom, groups of truth, so called. Okay, as I see here, that a lot of groups woke up after the pandemic is happening, all this bullshit of pandemic, that starting the groups of some groups, but they not understand the real philosophy of the things, the really important things. They think, okay, that they no have mandate of vaccines. Okay, now it's okay. Before was it the same? Slavery is just worse, but it's still slavery. You know, it's no means it's okay. We can continue our life normal, and have people they consider their for truth, but they go to voting. For some people, they are believe they can make some change and still believe in the governments. So
Mhm.
I have a lot of confusions, a lot of things that people not understand. They need they don't have direction. Also
Mhm.
because the ego of the people, they have a lot of strong ego about this, especially about Judaism and religions, that they so attached to. That I see how this working, all these religions of the, how they put people they from progress back, and they just not expand the knowledge. They not look all the knowledge around. They just focus on one thing,
Yeah.
and this is what I see. And they fighting against example of groups of 5G, of chemtrails. I understand, need to speak about evil stuff like that. I agree. Even me speak about my channels, but still is something um, is that grow after. You need to go under. You need to
The root
go to the
cause.
root of the problem,
Yeah.
to destroy the root of the problem of this, you know, of our society. So nothing will help if you not put there the effort and heal that.
Yeah.
This is what people in this freedom movement do not understand here. This is what I see in the
Right.
in this community here.
Yeah, they're not talking about what slavery is, what freedom is, what rights
Yes,
are.
yes.
They're talking about the symptoms of
The
what
symptoms, yeah.
happens. Yeah, so they can't define those simple concepts, you know? You ask them, it's like, "Oh, well, this act, oh, this event, oh, this person," but no ideas, no universal grounding ideas. And so that's why we're sharing it with people. So what would you say is that thing, that the root cause? Is it statism? Is it mental slavery?
Yes, it's, Example is moral relativism is also big, huge problem of the society of all the times, that people decide what justice is and what right and wrong. And again, people start to be confused, and you ask them these simple questions. They start to be very confused. And I
Yeah.
have a lot of conversations with people about that. And again, I tell you, they feel not comfortable with this, and they don't know what to answer.
Right, because they've
And
never
they
been asked
answer, and they
before.
don't understand that they are contradict themselves. You know?
Right. It's like if I were to say, well, oh, slavery is dependent on what people think about it. It's not an action, it's not a condition, it's just whatever people think it is, is
Yes,
what it
yes,
is.
yes,
It's like,
yes.
no, nonsense. It's an
No, you
action,
not really live in reality. Me live in reality. Me, yes, you not really live in reality.
Yeah, so there's like objective effects to our behavior. We need to learn what those effects are, and then we understand, well, what effects do we want? Do we want a world of chaos, of harm? No, I don't think so. We want a world where people are working together. Now, what does that look like? It's voluntary systems, right? Non-coercive systems, systems that do not have slavery present. So let me go a little deeper into how you came about. I'm really curious. How long were you a statist, or did you believe in this thing we call government or slavery, essentially? And how did you get out of that?
I tell you, I call the awakening process have veils. Have first veil, have another veil, and another veil. The first veil is the agendas of the deep states and all these manipulations and traffic children. All this evil stuff is going on. But the real thing, the real what is behind the other veils, this take me more time to wake up. You know what I mean? I wake up exactly when I finish my military time in the army. It was maybe 12 years ago, something like that. And after um, I was investigated David Icke, Mark Passio, Mikhail Titsarion, all this Jordan Maxwell, and I continue my life, but I not put so attention in that. I have certain knowledge about this and conscience about that, but I still know really understood what is going on. What really what really is going on? What really the truth? You know what I mean? But after the 2020, I understand. I revisited Mark Passio podcast, revisited again after a couple of years. I was before 5 years. I stopped to watch, and after it's like return me the circle, what something connected together. That this really awakening. I
Mhm.
understand this is the real part of the awakening, that I really awaked. That I understand before that I was not awake. I think I was awake. I start to understand, realize the problem from an intellectual perspectives, and not go deeper enough, or not go not see the full pictures. I have a lot of gaps, and I still defend in some point the Zionist agenda. Is so strong here that they indoctrinate you from the young age that this is the holy thing in the world. You know that when I meet my wife, example, she understand that this is Zionism is an ideology, satanic ideologies, that they killing innocent children and do harmful stuff. But I not believe her, and I was ignorant about this information. But
Mm.
after I watched some video again, and something wake up in me, and I start to again revisited the information, and this take long time. But really, I get into the action. It was really before after 2020 I get in, really start to create content that I understand need to influence people, that need to do something here. I really start to awakening spiritually also. I was before stuck in kind of new age bullshit of spirituality, you know.
Right.
I investigate works of David Lipton, Joe Dispenza, Greg Braden of epigenetics, okay, epigenetics, excuse me, epigenetics. And I start, and this put me kind of in the circle of the new age, that I just need to feel that and just to imagine that everything will be okay with me, and this just will accrue magically. But I understand this does not work like this, and that need to go into action, real action. That this really occur the physical change in the world. And I really understand that now. After this experience I have, this is completely, this is absolutely right. That everything is goes like, this is the path. This is the path to go. You don't need to ask anyone else. This is right or wrong. This is the right way. This is what the right thing to do. And no one need to tell you that. You need to know this inside you. Something need to born inside you to go and continue. So also the shadow work I do, also I work in my willpower. This part of magic also, to work on your willpower, is like a muscle. You go to the gym and you just work and work and work on this willpower, and just work is stronger and stronger.
Yeah. You build upon that, and like you said, you don't like wrap yourself in the imagination of like, oh well, if I just think it, it'll happen. You have the imagination of, yeah, there could be a better reality, but you put that into action, through required action steps, because there are requirements to what we want in this world.
Yes, before that, of course you can imagine that this is a good tool to imagine stuff that do not exist yet, but you want them to exist. But after is important, you need to do something physically, not just to imagine. But the imagination is also part of the magic, also part
Right.
of the imagination.
The word magi.
Everything we create before in the physical, we was imagined that before,
Right,
So,
in the mind, because you said everything comes from the mind, the principle of mentalism.
Also, the mankind, humanity, mind, moon, everything from the one source of world. So,
yeah, so when people get stuck in religions, I mean, after you take a look at the occult or look at some of the philosophies, you start to understand like all of them, right? Not just one.
Yes. Exactly. You cannot stuck on one. You just need to know. I was so hungry on knowledge. That's so hungry. I never stop. I just not stop. I reading and reading. I say I need to know here all this. I need to know to discover that. I have so strong will for that. That is make me so curious to know that. Something inside me tell me that.
Right.
So this just show that the occult why so hardly understand, because you need to understand that to make effort to understand that. It's not easily go to you by words like you read in a normal book. Is sometimes decoded with some symbols or numerologies, because people need to make effort to understand the things, and to want to understand it.
Yeah, and there's symbols all around people, right? There's all sorts of numbers and all sorts of things everywhere. Changing their minds, influencing
and this
their
impact
minds.
people, even they know they impact them, but this impact them. They even don't know that they enter to this unconscious, subconscious mind.
So we have to kind of get down not just to the root of the problem, but to the root of ourselves, right? Inside ourselves.
Everything starts from ourselves. Everything, anything, we need to first of all look on ourselves.
Yeah. Do you have any other recommended resources for people, or on your website that people can learn more about a lot of the stuff we're talking about?
Resources. I have my book resources in my website. I have links for books related to the presentations. Again, I know I have a lot of presentations in English now, but will be in the future.
Awesome.
I hope so. Will be more in the future. So I can put there that people can download also the books related to this. Example, I teach tarot, or I teach Kabbalah, or Rosicrucian, or theosophy. All these have related books for that there in the website. And also you can download by yourself. Have a website called LibGen that you can
Right.
download any book that you want. But there I have sections of kind of topics, and you have the books related to them. But most of the material there in Hebrew for now. Yeah. And I see that's also important to inform people in Hebrew, because in Hebrew people so much ignorant about that. So it's unbelievable how much.
Yeah, and we definitely we definitely could use people in all parts of the world, like I said, just to share this. So because I don't want to just see one country free, I want to see the whole world free. You know?
Me, honestly, I see only there in the United States there are people. The only place. Maybe in Australia, maybe I have no. Or
Well,
New
the reason
Zealand.
why in America we have that spirit is just because of our
I
history, you
don't.
know.
Yeah, I don't know why is. You have lucky. You're lucky.
But it starts with one voice, and then it turns into 2 and 3 and 4. That's the thing. Like if you make it a thing where soon your culture is built around the ideas of freedom, like it is in America, it's constantly on people's minds. And then you wonder why we have so much controversy and people always talking about America. It's because, like, you know, we're talking about freedom so much, or at least we did, and that led to the abolition of slavery in the 1800s.
At least you have this understanding in some level of these
Right.
words, you know. Here, I know even now they even not know what does that mean.
Right.
If people they don't understand what you're saying, I cannot hear you. If people say me like that,
Yeah,
many people. So
it's crazy.
imagine.
Yeah, that's crazy. So definitely recommend people check out your website. Again, it's Steven Mager. That's STEVENMAGER. And people can translate your website too if they want. You can get like a translation plugin, or you also have a section on the site, like I said, that says English, and you plan to make more English content. I recommend people check out your downloadable resource and check out a lot more of your works. You're on YouTube, right? You're on other platforms and such.
Yes. Also have Israeli from local here, a free platform. Not I mean not censored, no
Right.
censorship. Some private open is a 5 to 8 live, and I want to open also in other platform in how the name of it? I forget. One of
What's
the
you said?
BitChoit and the other one.
Brighteon or Library,
Yes,
Odyssey?
Odyssey. Yes, Odyssey. Yes, I want to
Yeah.
open an Odyssey also in channel, also only in English. I don't know why the content in Hebrew, also the content creators in Hebrew, not put there, because it's uncensorable. So need to put in also in not only in English. I have there the material I saw, so can put more other languages.
Yeah.
But anyways, I will put my material there in English for now.
Awesome. Yeah.
And also I have YouTube channel, and all the material, the archive in the website that connected to you to this channel.
Great. Thank you for joining me and having this conversation. I really appreciate it, and sharing your story. I think it's great, and I hope to see a lot more people such as yourself out there and spreading the truth and spreading knowledge. I hope everyone that, you know, I inspire you and Steve inspires you. We're two people, but we're growing, and because people realize how important this knowledge is, and we could always use more help to share the truth. It's a moral obligation. Thank you, everybody, for watching. This is the End of Slavery Summit. If you want to see a lot more speakers like this and a lot of other downloadable resources, go to nita.one/summit, nita.one/summit. Thank you very much for watching. Take care.